All right. My name is Connor Casey, and for this presentation, I will be covering the link mainly between psychological and mental health in both the ancient and modern world. The purpose is to see the relationship between sports and how they affect the mind. Physical health is also clearly affected by sports. However, I will be mostly covering the psychological and psychiatric relationships with sports. To start off, I will begin with why I participated in sports such as running and how this correlates to both the modern and ancient world. Afterwards, it's necessary to compare how each world views, classifies, and treats each of these mental health concerns. Once we understand how each society views mental illnesses, then we can compare how sport was an effective treatment. Not every sport is appropriate for every athlete, and in history, there are those famous enough to show it. So, why participate in sports? In modern society, people choose sports prior to college to enter an Ivy League school. Others desire to become a professional athlete. Some enjoy to be a spectator, participate recreationally, or just to be more with friends and family. People like me enjoy it as a way to boost my mood and productivity, such as this man over here running. The reason I have is not uncommon, and it was true in the ancient world. Athletes in the ancient world participated for fame and glory, and when they failed, punishments could be severe for competitions. Sometimes punishments led to even more than shame and flogging, which is far worse, but this is not our focus. Up next, we're covering modern psychology and psychiatry, which has expanded dramatically over the last century in the modern world, and even so more over the past few millennials. From mild anxiety or depression to more severe illnesses such as schizophrenia or bipolar disorders provides a history over time. Treatments within the century range from medication, therapeutics, cognitive behavioral therapy, and for a short time, lobotomies for the mentally unwell population. Today, lobotomies are banned, and the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders has become the most comprehensive guide to treat the mentally unwell population. So, up next, we have ancient psychology and psychiatry. And psychiatry was is mainly defined as using medicine to treat the mentally unwell population, where cognitive behavioral therapy is utilized primarily in psychology. In the ancient world, there were many limitations to treating mental illnesses, and because of this, psychology was far more prevalent than psychiatry. The recognition of these illnesses took a long time too, and Hippocrates earned the title as the founder of ancient Greek medicine for acknowledging them. So over in this photo here, which probably didn't date back to as far as the ancient world, but we have a demon above a woman who appears to be sleeping as such in a quite uncomfortable fashion. And because it took so long for people to learn more about mental illnesses as we have now within the past century, people back then, further back, still had a certain type of belief that maybe the devil would have been responsible for these dreams. And right here we have a demon above a woman who we presume is asleep. So as we continue with ancient psychology and psychiatry, the gods, as I was saying earlier with that image, were initially thought to be responsible. And Hippocrates, as you see in this picture to the left, was known in Greece as the earliest recognition of the importance in diagnosing and treating illnesses, including those that affect the mind. He proposed the earliest classification of mental disorders that included mania, melancholy, phrenitis, which is no longer used in modern uh, classifications or symptoms, insanity, disobedience, paranoia, panic, and epilepsy. And before Hippocrates classified these, as I mentioned, the gods were thought to be responsible. And Hippocrates dismissed this idea as the effect of nature or the causes of some of these classifications and should be treated more as a physical disease. Now, these classifications are typically more used to describe the mental illnesses rather than the actual classifications. However, it's still important for us to know as this is the earliest classification. So how could sports help with modern treatments? The philosopher Aristotle is known by many for his achievements and reinforced the idea of sports that were essential to optimizing functional capacity and harmony with the mind along with the body. Hippocrates initially promoted this idea along with possible therapeutics available in the time period. And this statement remains true today and is seen as an effective treatment for a variety of psychiatric disorders. And to the right here, we have a Greek urn or vase that shows someone getting treated by someone possibly as Hippocrates. So, sport in the modern world is still very encouraged to this day, as exercise could be very beneficial for a prevalent number of mental illnesses. And the most common that we think of is of depression and anxiety, and how the exercise in sports reduces the stress that precipitates these disorders. And benefits are shown too in even far more severe illnesses such as schizophrenia, where antipsychotics that are used to treat the disorder are not as effective in other areas. The antipsychotics are very effective in treating the positive symptoms, such as hallucinations or delusions that can only be treated with medication, where exercise is known to treat the negative symptoms of schizophrenia, such as social withdrawal or apathy. So, where does sports fail to help athletes in their health? As I mentioned earlier, exercise isn't as effective for positive symptoms of schizophrenia or delusions within schizophrenia or other disorders. So we do know that it does promote positive experiences such as exercise, but then could participating in sports have implications of a double-edged sword in a way? In ancient history, the Olympic boxer Cleomenes, as you see it, that could be a representation of him on the right, was driven mad after improperly killing his opponent in a competition and tore down his schoolhouse, resulting in the death of 60 schoolboys. In today's society, a famous example from our society, especially American football, is O.J. Simpson, where he became a convicted felon and murderer after retiring from sports. Of course, I condemn the actions of both athletes, but it begs the question if participating in their sports contributed to their actions. So, wrapping up, throughout history, sports has always been a method of exercising. It's known to improve mental health by an incredible amount compared to those who do not participate in any sport. And the famous phrase today, a healthy mind and a healthy body, remains true from millenniums ago. From ancient Greece to modern day society, exercise during sports were known to improve the health of many who participated in them. And it looks like not every sport is for everyone. And both the ancient Olympic boxer Clean Meredith and O.G. Simpson proved that their fame could have very likely led to their condemnable actions. And wrapping up, here's a photo of the Colosseum, and that was used in ancient Greece. And I will stop it here.